Hi everybody, good morning, welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. Welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. My name is Gina Pike. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Today we're going to be doing a finished project update. I'm outside, so I haven't done this in a while, so I'm excited to share this with you. I'm going to be showing you today the first shawl of Romi Hill's 2022 Lace Lovers Club. And this is called Tone Poem. I've been kind of teasing this a little bit. I've shown some updates of this in a few of my videos, not the whole thing. Today we're going to be looking at the whole thing. Let's just get into it. Now, Romi Hill does a Lace Lovers Club she's kind of took some time off with COVID, but she usually does a Lace Lovers Club where she releases this kind of ebook of patterns, all lace. There's usually three or four shawls. This year there's going to be 3 shawls for the 2022 Lace Lovers Club, and I was fortunate enough to be able to buy into the club, and I'm going to be getting the yarn and the pattern, and there's 2 more. So this is the first one. A tone poem is a work inspired by an idea or a story, rich in texture and mood-based theme. Like its namesake, this shawl was built from the kernel of a lacy mood and structured around a repeating diamond motif. So you're going to see a lot of diamonds in this shawl. This is it hanging back behind me. That's why I wanted to come outside, because I wanted to hang it and let it drape and let the yarn blow in the wind. It's one of my favorite things about finishing a lacy shawl. So I wanted to kind of go through the stitches. Again, in a couple of days, I'm going to be releasing, sorry about the dogs and the noise, I'm going to be releasing a stitch tutorial for this shawl. And in that, it'll go through all the stitches that are involved in making this. And my hopes are that you will, if you decide to make this next year when the pattern is released to the public, you'll use my stitch tutorial as a guide to help you through any of the stitches that you might not be familiar with. There are a few new stitches and a couple of different ways of doing things, and I hope that will be helpful. So watch for that in a couple of days. I've already filmed it, because I filmed it as I went along, but I'll release it after I release this video here today. Alright, so the stitches, I'm just going to kind of briefly walk through them. And then again, that will be in the stitch tutorial. And I have shown a lot of these tutorials on my YouTube page as individual videos as well. And you might be able to find those in my knitting stitch tutorials. But there's the 3x3 stitch, which is decorative, and a 2x3 stitch. There's the knit stitch, the knit front and back, the knit 2 together, the knit 2 together through the back loop, the knit through the back loop, and then there's the make 1 increase stitches, which make 1 left, make 1 right, make 1 purl, passing a slip stitch over, purl through the back loop, an SK2P, which is a slip, knit 2 together, pass a slip stitch over, slipping your markers, because you do need stitch markers, because there's a lot of repeats of the same stuff. It just kind of helps you keep everything organized. An SSK, which is a slip knit stitch, a T2L, which is a mocked cable stitch, which leans to the left, and a T2R, which is a mock cable stitch, which leans to the right. And yarn over, and there are some double yarn overs, and in the double yarn overs you might do like a pearl yarn over pearl into the double yarn over. And there's also the Stretchy Bind off, which I have a couple of videos for that, which I will link down in the description box as well. I did those like some of the first videos I ever did on my YouTube page here. That's a nice bind off to do for when you're making shawls, because it allows you to stretch and block the shawl to whatever shape you want it to be. So let's go over and take a look at the shawl. All right, this is the shawl. As you can see, it's really big. This shawl is, you can make it in two sizes. You can make it in a medium size or a tall size. If you do choose to make it in the tall size, you need double the yarn. And I'll show you exactly where you can make that decision if you want to make it tall. But that's it. Look at the yarn in the wind. I used a Diana dye yarn. About the yarn, she sends yarn with her lace club, and that was the Yak yarn, but I was a little hesitant to use it because in winding it, it broke really easy even when I was hand winding it, so I was a little worried about knitting with it. So I opted to use a couple of skeins of yarn that I had in my stash from Diana Dye, and I'll link her website down below. Look at the drape on this. This is 100% bamboo, heavy lace weight yarn. The lighter color here is Genie Magnolia. The darker color on the border is called Fuchsia. So let's get closer so we can see some of the details. I'm so sorry that dog is barking. Of course a dog will bark when I come out here to do this. Okay, so you started right here with a garter edge, garter stitch cast on, and it creates this garter stitch edge, and it becomes seamless because you continue the garter stitch edge throughout the rest of the shawl. So you can't really tell where the shawl starts or where the shawl ends. And then you started out, the shawl started out looking like a beautiful flower doily, in my opinion. You can see how it was really circular in shape, and that's what I thought this was gonna end up kind of being, until we got to the point right here. I hope I can show this right here, and I'll try to show it going all the way down. It split, and there's a center spine, which is what I'm showing. It has yarn overs on either side of it, and it became, that center spine made the shawl become more triangular. So this ended up being a triangular shaped shawl, even though we started out circularly. It was a genius design. I really loved it. By the point where we split it, when we split it into to become a triangular, we started with doing all these beautiful lacy repeats. There's a chevron section there, and then these are just all lacy diamond repeats, as you can see on both sides of the shawl. So much lacy repeats. And this is where you had the choice to make your shawl bigger or just leave it in the medium size. Since I made it bigger, this added 32 rows of these diamond repeats. I should have put a marker where it would have been if I hadn't increased it, but I added 32 rows and about almost, I'm just going to round it up to about 100 stitches all the way around. And you can see how big this is. This is all blocked out, of course. It's just a bunch of little diamonds. And after you do that, at that point, you bring in the second color, and this is my fuchsia color. But then it's this really beautiful change. You can see the change, but then it brings in these gorgeous diamonds that mimic the diamonds up here that go all the way around the edge of this shawl. Like this. And then once you got through with that, it's time to finish it up. And what the way she did this, it looks like there's one of those little decorative 3x3 stitches that creates, you can see that design and how that looks. That's after you knit it out some. And then you knit this border on. This is the border that goes all the way around the edge. You knit it on perpendicularly to the shawl, and so every other row you're grabbing a stitch of the shawl and you're binding it off. And you can kind of see this edge right here, this line right here. That's where I bound off stitches from the shawl with the stitches of the edging to put them together. So you knit that perpendicularly, and this was the edging that I wasn't sure I'd ever finish. Hold on, let me see if I can grab it there. It took a long time to do this edging. It's just kind of a repeat of like 14 rows, but to create this little chevron edging, but so pretty finishes it off really beautifully, I think. So there you have it. There's Tone Poem, which is the first shawl from the Lace Lovers Club of 2022 for Romi Hill. And this pattern will be released again in 2023. Thank you so much for letting me share this with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching this video about Tone Poem, the first shawl of the Romi Hill Lace Lovers Club for 2022. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please tune in and stay tuned for the stitch tutorial to be released in a couple of days. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye. Now, for the shawl, there's also two sizes you can make. There's a medium size, or there's a tall size, and I ended up okay, there's two sizes you can make for this shawl. Again, in a couple of days, I'm gonna be releasing, sorry about the dogs and the noise. I'm gonna be